A local assistant principal says she has no choice but to fight for her students. Kate Fulginiti is a 10-year educator who currently serves as interim principal at Pinedale Elementary. She says she's driven to address historical inequities that threaten to derail children from underserved communities. It's that passion that propelled her to being selected as Florida's 2020 Assistant Principal of the Year. Joining us now on the morning show, Kate Fulginiti. Hey, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
So in addition to, serving the underserved community, the teaching culture changed dramatically for kids 8 weeks ago and for teachers. So what inspires you as an educator today that maybe is different than before the pandemic?
Absolutely. I think a couple things. I think one, it's still education. And so the kids we had 8 weeks ago are still the kids we have now. It's just the platform and how we're reaching them that looks different. But the fight there is still the same. But I think the second piece to this is we know when things happen, it often hurts underserved communities the worst. It hits them the hardest. And so I think the fire that was there 8 weeks ago is amped up now because likely when we come back, we're going to have greater gaps we need to help fill because of this.
And one of the realities is that in those underserved communities, a lot of those kids didn't have access to computers. They didn't have access to the internet. But many of the schools stepped up to make sure that that gap was filled.
Yes, sir. Dr. Green had a vision. Duval County had a vision. And basically within a week, we really helped bring the community together and connect as many people as possible to technology and to internet. And it's not perfect. I know we still have families out there who are trying to figure it all out. But for the most part, like the Team Duval came together to help make that happen for kids and families very quickly.
I was reading your bio and I found out that you were inspired to teach by in your words, a fiery and empathetic college professor. So how do you pass that empathy and fire onto your students?
Yeah, I think it takes both. I believe it takes both. I think passion takes you places. I think passion helps you connect with young people and teachers. But at the end of the day, I believe you should be leading from love. And you're able to connect to people when you are compassionate and empathetic to the situations and to what they bring to the table. So I think you got to meet people where they are. And that's empathy, I think, at its root.
I'm a dad, and I always understood that the goal is to get our kids to achieve their highest potential. And we parents are now experiencing the challenges that you teachers face every day because we're sitting beside our kids with this virtual learning. Do you hope that now, because parents are in a different situation, it opens eyes and increases parental involvement that may not have been there before?
I mean, I think as an educator, you could talk to any educator and they would say at the end of the day, we want parents to be as involved as they can be. I think, but the reality is, and the belief that I have, that parents show up and do the best they can and they bring to the table the best they have every day. So if this experience helps open the eyes of some, I think that's going to be great. But at the end of the day, I think parents in general do the best they can given circumstances.
Yeah, I think my point is, if you talk to a lot of teachers, there was a big concern that parents weren't showing up. They always had an excuse. And I think with this virtual learning that's going on, there are parents who are now being forced to show up.
I think a lot of our parents are now working. I mean, a lot of our parents were already working, right? 2 or 3 jobs to help make ends meet. But now, if you are a parent at home, you're working multiple jobs if you have multiple children. And so I do think it's eye-opening to see how kids learn. And I think when we go back, whenever that is and whatever that looks like to the more traditional setting, I do think parents will hopefully be even more positioned to say, hey, I know how my child learns best, or hey, I know this does not work, to be able to better partner with teachers and administrators.
Well, congratulations to you on your honors and a big thank you to you and every teacher out there.
Thank you so much for your time.
8:17, time for a look-see at the weather.